Forest Haven is a domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking nonprofit. We were formally incorporated in 2023, but been doing this work since 1999. And since then, we've helped over 5,700 situations of care. We don't call folks victims. Everyone is a friend, so everyone needs a good friend at some point in their life, and we try to be that good friend for folks who need help when they need it. So what we do is we try to make everything easy. So we provide immediate emergency housing. If someone calls and says that they need help, the first thing we're going to do is figure out how to get them out and get them to safety. And from there, we provide everything from food and clothing, specifically food that they like. Every child gets a teddy bear and a blanket and a coloring book and crayons, because when children leave, they often leave with nothing. So we try to give them their own little care package specifically for them. And if we have to, we will fly people out of state to safety. We provide housing, so we help with providing rental assistance, and then we help people get workforce training. So whatever we can do to get someone to live independently of their abuser is what we're going to do. So our project is called Roots and Resilience. It's empowering survivors and restoring the earth. It's a dual focus between environmental justice and domestic violence survivors, and it's the connection of the healing of the person while also healing the planet. So we're just trying to bring everything together, because we're trying to not only renew the souls of people who are going to be doing the work, but we're trying to renew the soul of the planet. So it's a combination of the two. So roots and resilience. Down here in the Port of Providence, there's a lot of environmental violence. There are pollutants in the air, there's pollutants in the soil. A big majority of the people that live down there are suffering from things like asthma, COPD. And what we're trying to address is the knowledge for the people in the neighborhood, in conjunction with another organization, Providence, the People's Port Authority. And what we want to do is get people more engaged in coming out and speaking out about the things that are happening to them due to the pollution down in the port. And that's what we're trying to address. We're trying to address the educational portion and bringing community together. What we want to do is empower the people of the community by going door to door. We want to invite them to community meetings that are held in the areas that are most affected, because when things like this happen, when people are being harmed by environmental violence, they tend to exclude folks. The ones that are most impacted, they tend to exclude them from meetings. They tend to not take their input, and you would think that the people that are most affected should have a loudest voice. And that's what we want to make sure. We want to make sure that the meetings are accessible. We want to make sure that the folks who are showing up are listened to and they're heard. We want to make sure that there's food there, because, if we have a meeting at night, people need to eat. We want to make sure that the kids have access to quality childcare, so that the parents can sit in the other room and actually express themselves freely. And when it comes to certain people, they don't make it easy for us to express ourselves. They don't make meetings accessible. They don't make the times accessible, because some people work multiple jobs, or they don't feed folks. They don't provide childcare, which makes it harder and harder for the everyday person to show up. So we want to make sure that we are in the community talking to the people and making meetings accessible, make sure there's a translator if folks need them, make sure that documents are translated into different languages, because you get a pamphlet and you can't read it. So we want to make sure that we are giving empowerment not only to the folks in the community, but the people that are going to be doing the work to get them engaged. So the people that are most affected are the people in Providence, the people in Washington Park. The people closest to the port are the ones that are most affected by environmental violence. And the people that live around these areas are mainly BIPOC folks, folks who are underserved, underpaid, underappreciated, underemployed. They're also surrounded by food deserts, which is also a form of violence. There are folks who don't have the ability to travel, because vehicles in Providence, they're hard to pay for that parking pass every day or every month. And there are folks on the bus line where our own bus line isn't consistent. So people who are most affected are often excluded, and we want to make sure we bring those people in. Those are the ones that we are targeting to educate and empower. Key activities and timeline. So for this Tier 1 application, we are hoping to hire 2 folks. One would be the community educator, which would be a part-time position. It would be someone who has been affected by the environmental violence, someone who is further along in their journey of healing in regards to domestic violence. We were hoping to have a bilingual person who would go out about 20 hours a week and knock doors and talk to folks and just educate them about meetings, invite them to meetings, let them know about legislation that's happening, just to do a lot of the community educating in Providence itself. And then there would be one other person who is the program manager, who would be a full-time position, who would be more logistics, and they would make sure that we have postcards that we can send out to people. They would be the one to pull the data so that we have demographics and socioeconomic numbers and that type of stuff, so we can share, like, this is what we've been doing. So it would be one full-time person, one part-time person. We would like to hire them in April of 2025, get them situated, and then starting in May, they would start doing their educational portion, where they themselves would learn exactly what to say to people and how to educate people in the doors. And then they would start setting up their meetings and their cleanups starting in July. And they will continue this work for a year until March of 2026. Also included with these two positions, they would be doing 2 meetings a month within the communities. They will be postcarding, and then they will be checking in not only with myself and the other organizations doing this work, but with each other. Our partners for this grant would be the People's Port Authority. I don't know if you know Monica with us, but she is absolutely amazing. She has been doing this work since 2015, when it was previously called No LNG and PVD. And their mission is to educate and make sure that folks who have been disproportionately harmed by environmental violence have everything that they need to feel empowered. And we figured that would be the best collaboration in regards to organizations out here already doing the work. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to just be able to help boost her by providing our services. The collaboration between us and the People's Port Authority, we're going to be co-hosting programs together. We're going to share all of our resources. Our community educators will be working very closely with Monica and her team to make sure that, we're saying the right things and that we're providing everything that the people in the community need, and that what they're saying is being heard, but also that she doesn't feel alone in this work. So we're going to be working within the same area anyway, and instead of trying to create a new team, we're going to create a bigger team that is going to get out there and knock more doors and educate more people. As far as our previous work doing this type of environmental justice work, we have always asked people for donations of clothing for the folks that we help, which is a way to reduce the amount of waste going up to the landfill. I have volunteered with Monica previously. I've done environmental work, and all of our work is intersectional. Violence is violence. We work with folks who have dealt with domestic violence, and she works with folks who are dealing environmental violence, and our work is very, very similar. And we're both trying to do everything we can to reduce the amount of waste that is going to the landfill, the amount of pollution that's in the air. All we can do is just continue to try and fight and try to, I'm going to say it again, empower people by reclaiming their own voice and their own autonomy, which is the most important thing you can do to help someone succeed. Well, the biggest thing you can do is get out there and talk to people. So we want to take the concerns of what people are dealing with on a daily basis within their own homes and bring it to the attention of those that have the power. Let me take that back. Those that have the ability to affect change in a positive way. So what we want to do is host programs within the community so people show up. We want to meet people where they are. We don't expect them to come to us. We want to create touch points, both in person and through virtual sessions, where people can share how they feel, share their concerns and their worries. And then we want to make sure we collect that data in a way that is digestible by other people. When you look at numbers, you tend to just look and say, oh my God, I don't know what I'm dealing with. But we want to put it in a way where the person who is actually sharing their concern can read and understand exactly what we're fighting for, and what other folks should be fighting for. We want to make sure that we collect all health data from folks to see, do you have COPD? Do you have asthma? Has anyone in your life been affected by lung cancer that lives out here? So we want to make sure we collect as much data as possible. And then we want to make sure that not only are we doing this for the community, we're doing it for both organizations so that we can continue to do this work and we can uplift each other by uplifting our communities. So the biggest portion that people tend to forget when it comes to community work is the listening. So you have to be flexible when it comes to things like this. Like, things change on a daily basis. People have ideas all the time. But everyone's concerns are also different, so you can't expect that this one path that you're going to go down is going to be the exact path. Sometimes you have to zigzag. So meeting people where they are and being flexible in regards to what you do is very, very vital to get this work done. We just want to make sure that, if on Monday there's a meeting, that we inform people as much as possible. If someone says no, like, I don't want to do this, we don't want to force people to do things. So the rigidity with people's personalities, we can't have here. You have to be flexible. You have to be willing to make change, because you have to listen to people. You can have your own ideas, but the people that are most affected should have the loudest voice in the room. So how we measure success is by making sure that the community at the end of this project feels empowered. We want to make sure that we provide things in at least a bilingual manner so that folks can come out and say what they want. We want to make sure that the community feels like they're doing the right thing. So when we have people show up, each meeting, we want the numbers to grow. So if our first meeting only has 5 people, our goal for the next meeting is to have 10. And I think the biggest measure of success is watching people speak for themselves. We can give you all the tools, we can provide you with the language that you should use, we can do all of this, but if you're not actually using it, are we really successful? And I think when we have meetings and we see other people starting to stand up and speak, and we see people showing up to testify, and we see all these letters going into the General Assembly, that would feel like success. And then the next one would be for them to shut down the actual port and stop polluting the air. But our number one measurement of success is making sure that the community feels powered and they feel empowered to actually get up and speak for themselves. We want to make sure that the team that is hired to do the work actually feels like they're being supported. We want to make sure that we have at least 20 people from the community that attend the meetings. 20 is our goal. It's our minimum. That's what we're hoping for, is 20. We want to make sure that we're hosting multiple events every month. We want to hit at least 4,000 doors within the city itself, and make sure that we have people's names, addresses, email, cell phone numbers, so we can send out mass text messages to invite them to meetings or if there's a hearing. Making sure that the other organizations feel as though they're being supported. We want to make sure that the People's Port Authority feels like it's not us coming in, but us working with them, so that they feel empowered and they feel as though they're supported to continue to do the work that they're doing. And then as a team itself, we want to make sure that our folks feel like they're actually having an impact on the community. So we do want to have check-ins with each other to make sure that we feel good with the work that we're doing. And then at the end is to hope that we have a list of people from the community who want to be heavily involved, and that we have at least hit 4,000 doors. So 1 year's time, I think it's possible. So one of the biggest challenges to this entire effort is community involvement. Sometimes people don't feel as though, when we're out there knocking doors and we're talking to them, that they are the people that we want to show up. Everyone believes that only people at the State House can make change. It's not true. The power lies within the people who are not in that building. So getting people to feel that is what is going to be the biggest challenge for us. And we know that by showing up constantly at these doors or showing up at these events, people are going to start trusting us, and then they'll start listening, and then they'll start showing up. So it's up to us to start that process of building the community participation, but it's the challenge of getting them to actually show up. So I think by providing everything from childcare services to a bus voucher if needed, to food, is going to help mitigate that circumstance of people just not showing. And how the EJ&E can help is by promoting whatever social media stuff we put out there, or sending an email out to their supporters too, to say, hey, this organization in conjunction with this organization is hosting an event, please show up for us. Well, the leadership structure is community-led. So the person who will be the community educator is someone who is actually from the community of Providence, who has been affected by environmental violence and also domestic violence. But most people don't understand the leaders come from the community itself, where you just have to give them the opportunity to lead. So most people don't get invited to say, hey, come give this speech, or please share your story. We want to do that. We want to find the leaders within the community by asking the right questions. and we want to make sure when people come to the meetings, they feel as though they are strong enough to do it. So we are led by someone from the community who has been affected, but also going to be led by the people within the community because we have to follow their lead in order to figure out the work that we need to do. So in regards to us collecting new data, yes, we will. We are hoping to utilize some of the grant money to get NGP VAN, which is a program that you can use to break folks down from their age to their socioeconomic demographics to their concerns, and we want to speak with People's Port Authority to figure out something that we are missing in regards to a survey. And while we're talking to folks, we want to make sure that we add in some of the things that they're saying. So for people who are like, yes, I've been living here for 30 years, and I've had lung cancer, we want to know like how many other folks within the neighborhood have lung cancer, or how many people in the neighborhood ended up with MS, which is not something most people focus on, but there are people within the population that are suffering with other ailments that we don't think about. So we want to make sure that we're constantly collecting new data, working with the People's Support Authority to make sure that they have everything that they need collected, and then the stuff that we need collected and we can share it with